the idea that animals feel emotions remains controversial among many scientists. Researchers' doubt is fueled in part by the very non-scientific tendency to attribute human qualities to non-humans. Many scientists also say that standard scientific methods cannot prove the existence of emotions in animals. Today, however, with mounting evidence to the contrary, the tide is turning radically and rapidly, says biologist Mark Bekoff, who is at the forefront of this movement. Even those who do not believe in animal passion agree that many creatures experience fear, which some scientists define as a primary emotion that contrasts with secondary emotions such as love and grief. Unlike these more complex feelings, fear is instinctive, they say, and requires no conscious thought. But beyond such instinctive emotions, the possibility of more complex animal feelings is difficult to demonstrate. I can't even prove the other human being is feeling happy or sad, says Bekoff, but I can deduce how they're feeling through body language and facial expression. As a scientist who has conducted field studies of coyotes and foxes for the past 3 decades, Bekoff also believes he can accurately tell what these animals are feeling by observing their behavior. He adds that animal emotions may actually be more knowable than those of humans because they don't filter their feelings the way we do. Yet, because feelings are intangible and difficult to study scientifically, most researchers don't even want to talk about animal emotions, says neuroscientist Jack Panksepp. Within his field, Panksepp is a rare exception. Focusing on similarities between the brains of humans and those of other animals, he suggests that at least some creatures have true feelings. Imagine where we'd be in physics if we hadn't guessed what's inside the atom, says Panksepp. Most of what goes on in nature is invisible, yet we don't deny that it exists. The new case for animal emotions comes in part from the growing acceptability of field observation. The latest contribution to this body of knowledge is a book, The Smile of a Dolphin, which presents personal reports from more than 50 researchers who have spent their careers studying animals, from cats, dogs, bears, and chimpanzees to birds, iguanas, and fish. Edited by Bekoff, the volume already has caught scientific attention. One of the most obvious animal emotions is pleasure. Anyone who has ever been greeted by a bounding, barking, tail-wagging dog knows that animals often appear to be happy. Beastly joy seems particularly apparent when the animals are playing with one another or sometimes, in the case of pets, with people. Grief also seems to be common in the wild, particularly following the death of a mate, parent, offspring, or even close companion. When a goose, which mates for life, loses its partner, the bird's head and body droop disappointedly. Jane Goodall, who has studied chimpanzees in Tanzania for 4 decades, saw a young chimpanzee starve after his mother died. Goodall maintains that the animal died for grief. There is hard scientific evidence for animal feelings as well. Scientists who study the biology of emotions, a field still in its infancy, are discovering many similarities between the brains of humans and those of other animals. In animals studied so far, including humans, emotions seem to arise from ancient parts of the brain, regions that have been saved across many species throughout evolution. The most important emotional site identified so far is the amygdala, an almond-shaped structure in the center of the brain. Working with rats, neuroscientists have discovered that stimulating a certain part of the amygdala induces a state of intense fear. In humans, brain imaging studies show that when people experience fear, their amygdalas too are made active. And just like the rats, people whose amygdalas are damaged by accident or disease seem unable to be afraid when the situation warrants it. In humans and rats, at least, amygdalas are basically wired the same way, says neuroscientist Joseph Ludo. He adds that, beyond fear, the evidence is less clear, but the amygdala has a connection with other emotions as well. The case for animal emotions is also supported by recent studies of brain chemistry. Stephen Seavey has found that when rats play, their brains release large amounts of dopamine, a chemical that is associated with pleasure and excitement in humans. Doubtful scientists remain unconvinced. A whale may behave as if it's in love, but you can't prove what it's feeling, if anything, says Ludo. He maintains that the question of feelings boils down to whether or not animals are conscious. And though animals may have snapshots of self-awareness, he says, the movie we call consciousness is not there. The most convincing argument, perhaps, comes from the theory of evolution, widely accepted by biologists of all types. Citing similarities in the brain structure and chemistry of human and other animals, neuroscientist Seavey asks, if you believe in evolution by natural selection, how can you believe that feelings suddenly appeared out of the blue with human beings? Goodall says it is illogical for scientists to use animals to study the human brain and then deny that animals have feelings. In the end, what difference does it really make? According to many scientists, resolving the debate over animal emotions could turn out to be much more than an intellectual exercise. If animals do indeed experience a wide range of feelings, it has profound implications for how humans and animals interact in the future. Beckhoff hopes that greater understanding of what animals are feeling will support more strict rules on how animals should be treated, everywhere from zoos and circuses to farms and backyards.